everybody seems very relaxed and chilled out. So first things first, my name is Birigi. I'm with the Bloggers Association of Kenya. I just would like to welcome you. Thank you guys for coming today. First things first, of course, I'm just going to start with some basic housekeeping rules. But before I do, if you have not noticed, we have the Wi-Fi router over here. So there's a stronger signal for the internet here in the front. So I highly strongly suggest that you move to the front if you can, please. Let's move a bit closer to the front. There's also a lot more power points here for your laptops or mobile phones. So, hello? Hello? You guys okay? People at the back, please. There's a lot of space in the front here because we're expecting people are going to be coming in. We would not like them to interrupt the process as it goes on. So if you don't mind terribly, if you can. Hello? Okay, so no problem. So, thank you guys for coming here today. We are just about to start. Should start in about 5 to 10 minutes. So basic housekeeping, end of the day. The loos are outside. You go straight to the right. You'll be able to use the loo facilities there. We do have Wi-Fi available here. The Wi-Fi network is called Nailab. That's N and then at, then iLab. Password is incubation 2014. Password is, of course, now all over the place. You should be able to see the password around here. And if you need any help with setting up, please ask China. Let's wave your hand over here. We'll help you out with that. The hashtag for today's event is CAEXP, and we are streaming this live. We are operating a live stream of this. So please feel free to let people know that this discussion is not going to be limited to this physical area. So before we start, I'd like to let everybody get to know the person sitting next to them. So I'm going to give you 2 or 3 minutes just to get their motto, I think is what people say. So just turn to the person next to you and say hello, ask them who they are, what they do, giving up a little time to do that. And anybody else who is around the area, this guy here in the back here, you would like to join us, please? We're about to start. So you've gotten to know the person next to you. You know them. They're fine. They're fine. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So because you know the person next to you, I do not need to give you a warning to be careful about your personal defense. Do I now? No. Okay. So the password is actually incubation 2030. There's a bit of a typo. But again, if you need any help with any of the passwords, so please talk to the channel. Yeah? So the hashtag today, like I said earlier, is CAEXP, Communications Authority of Kenya, EXP. Enjoy my kidogo. Okay, so we're just about to begin. So just to give you a brief background of why we're here today. Last week, there was a bloggers forum that was organized at IHAP, and we had an opportunity to interact with people from the Communications Authority of Kenya. And we felt that it was important that we give them a platform to explain some of the contentious issues or some of the misinformation, or basically just provide clarity around what is happening around digital integration. And so we have with us today Engineer Daniel Obam. He's a radio communication expert from the National Communication Secretariat. That's the policy arm of the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology. We also have with us here today Rachel Alwala, who is the Assistant Director for Communications and External Relations at the Communications Authority. We're going to give them an opportunity to shed some light into the process behind the digital migration, so a little background, then going forward into some of the issues that may require clarity. So, to get us started off, I'm going to allow a small background into the process behind the digital migration. Let's all have a round of applause for Engineer Obama. A round of applause for Engineer Obama. Let's give us a short presentation on the background behind the digital migration. Then we will move forward into some of the issues that may require clarity. So, Engineer Obama.
Thank you very much. Programs using digital fixed tools. Some of you are IT experts. So instead of using analog information and some like DTT, just use digital terrestrial television, which means it's television that's being broadcast. It's not from satellite. In the analog broadcasting environment, building their buying land, building their own tower, putting their own equipment, hiring their own technicians, building a road that site, putting a generator, security site, and they when they have their services. In the digital environment, what we call the broadcasting value chain is different. The idea is to have the infrastructure provider is separate from the broadcaster. What this does is that if you buy half an acre of land, you can develop a site that can be used by very many broadcasters. This is one instead of having separate technician. Then, so you keep on GBA, developing content to one of the infrastructure providers that's called Signet, then the infrastructure provider take. So if you are the account like yourself, you just buy the central box, you connect, and you get all the broadcasters. Today, some of you come from very far from the national broadcasting skills. So how did we start this? 2006, countries said that we need to move from analog the telephone We have a treaty which we have to try. First of June, the broadcasting is something that's legal. So we have no way but so the communication license sell like 2 cell phones. 2009. But a set of boxes based on positive. Today, same. So because of this competition, we've seen the prices come down significantly. What the government also did is they removed the duty, import duty, etc. So there's no duty on sector prices. Communication Authority has spent a lot of time on these sessions, we talk on radio, TV, where we can recover. There's some stations don't cover us, and we try to explain to Kenyans what this means. It sounds more complicated than it is, but actually, if you just think of it like Safaricom, the home of our water free, we have free. Safaricom, Airtel, Telco, they have infrastructure. But you can buy any brand of phone and it will work with anyone of those networks. But if you want to buy a smartphone and you want to use the internet, then you must be prepared to pay the bundles. That's not the variation, that is the version that pay TV. So the ordinary set-top box, you buy it once and use it. But if you want now to get premium content, you have to buy what is called the pay TV set-top box. That's GoTV and StarTimes. And those ones now you pay a bit more per month to receive just those two. Otherwise, the rest of the channels. Perhaps I would like to post there so that if there are questions, can be answered, especially on some of the aspects of the signal distribution.
Yes, so I'm actually going to start from there. We've been hearing a lot about licensing in regard now to the TV stations now that have been opposing basically the digital migration so far. So possibly you could take us through the licensing structure so we can have an understanding of which licenses are available, which ones they have taken, which ones they need to take.
Okay. The task force recommended that we only have one signal distributor. And the concept was this. And it was agreed that it's good if we have it as a public company so that you can leverage on government funding to go to areas that are not profitable. We don't know give the universal service fund. So the best way to do it was to ask KBC, because they have majority of the sites. We asked KBC to form a separate company to build the infrastructure. If you look at the original draft of the reports, we recommended that other broadcasters form this company with KBC. We were told we were trying to nationalize private property, so we dropped the idea. So later on, what happened is that we said, if you leave just one operator, a public operator, maybe they may not be able to meet the demands of broadcasters. So it was, policy was agreed that we licensed a second signal distributor, but a private one. The nature of that kind of license is that you have to do it competitively. It's not like, we don't need that license to cloud, I suppose. It's not like selling phones. You know, when you want to sell a phone, you go to CAK, they give you a license in a day. To build infrastructure to help cover whole country is a multi-billion shilling project. So by our procurement rule, you have to advertise, people have to compete, and there are conditions, and whoever meets it gets the license. So an expression of interest was prepared, tender documents were prepared, the communication authority, the CC came there, evaluated, and came up with one winner. Now, among the people who bid for the license were two consortia of the media fraternity. What we had expected from the ministry was that they would all get together and maybe form one company. They did not. They came as different companies, and they were not able to meet the requirements. They challenged the decision of the CCKN, the Public Procurement Board. It was reviewed, they checked everything, they found it was done properly. They took the matter to the Ethics and Corruption Commission. They quizzed the, but some people were quizzed, it was found to be correct. Then we've gone through the court process that I explained. Eventually, the Supreme Court said that this thing is okay to go by. So they did participate. But then what the government and the CAD, they said, because you say you want to carry on cities, we are going to give you a license to carry on cities. What I'm being told is that the company that is supposed to be a consortium has not provided. Nobody get a license. We have in the company, we are able to there's a thing called CR2. CR12. If you want a license, you are asked to give the to say the name, the directors in the company, the shares they have, so that it's shown that they are bona fide in the company. I'm told today, of course, is that that has not been provided. So I hope that sort of clears things up to that point. I think the license on the table, because people said that they must be given licenses. That was the only condition. We are told to migrate by as per the dates. Nairobi by 1st of December 2015, phase 2, 5th of February 2015, and phase 3, 30th of March 2015. So, and then they said that give them self-provisioning license, which actually the regulator will be able to give them once they get, you have to, I'm sure some of you task clearance, these days, certificate of good conduct. These are basic requirements. Some of you employ people, you don't employ somebody who does not have a kind of certificate of good conduct. The best way to get one. So there are those basic things like that. So once these are done, then the distribution that they need to.
Okay, so yes.
Something because like in the media we had reports of the self-provisioning authorization having been withdrawn from them. So given that authorization as an interim before the processing of the license, and that was done last year in November 2014, and it was expected that they would then start to prepare themselves to set up their infrastructure, or even given the 21 frequencies that we keep hearing about, to enable them roll out their infrastructure. But of course, the self-authorization, self-provisioning authorization was withdrawn after they really displayed some, what I would call anti-competitive behavior and broadcasting information that was not very fair to the pay TV content providers, that is Startimes and GoTV. I'm sure you all saw the ad which was running, telling you not to buy set-top boxes from these companies because they were relaying their content illegally. On that basis, actually, there were considerations, and that self-provisioning authorization was withdrawn. And the court, on 13th of February, when it made the ruling, said that we hand back the self-authorization to them. But the board, in its wisdom, thought if the licensing process is ongoing, we might just as well finalize their licensing and give them the license. But as Obama has explained, there are some of those conditions for licensing that they are yet to meet. So that license has not been given as a visit.
So let me take you a step back for a moment. Now, in regard to the licensing itself, I understand that there's a licensing for something. There's a license for an entity called a broadcast signal distributor, and that's what Signet and PAN have. And this is distinct from the self-provisioning license. So probably you could provide some clarity on that.
Yes. The difference, they all do the same thing. The only difference is that the PAN and Signet, they went through, Signet was a policy decision of the government to have this public service infrastructure provider. For PAN, they went through a tender process. Today, if Bake wants to have a channel on the digital platform, you don't have to build the infrastructure. You can either go to Signet or Punk and then carry your content to every part of the country, as long as you agree on the fees for carriage. Self-provisioning is the same thing that you only carry your own content. Because you may have seen in the place that the three broadcasters first channel say they don't want anybody else to carry their content. They want to carry their own content. So that license allows them to carry their own content. So that's the difference. They will not carry their content because they ask this for themselves. Okay, so it's like building a big road by public funds. They more. I want to have my own private road, parallel to and you're allowed to do that. But the other vehicles will not use it because probably they're paying transport.
So effectively now, our self-provisioning license allows them not to carry channels that are free to them.
It's their channel.
It's up to them.
They carry their own channels.
Okay.
And because of the discussion, that self-provisioning license actually is a subscription channel because their content is confined within that space. But for the other two, the PAN and the Signet, some of you know that if you buy a free-to-air set-top box, you will receive signals from PAN and receive from Signet, as long as they are free-to-air. So they are not restricted. They are not restricted to that one network.
So now the broadcast signal distributor, basically now that's Signet and PAN,
correct,
must carry any channel that somebody comes to them with.
You go to CAK, you get authorization, then you can negotiate either of the two. Whoever gives you the best deal, you sign up with them. Okay. And the best deal will depend on coverage, depend on the kind of service level agreement you have. It's just a business relationship. It doesn't matter. If they are in a place, the coverage is actually the truth. The truth is like if you go to a place where there's Safaricom and Airtel, you can decide either to go for one or the other, or both. But in this case, just like in the mobile industry, you end up with two sets of boxes. If you go for the kind of for the free-to-air set of box, if Signet and PAN are in the same location, and the other set of boxes and you take the free-to-air channel, there's no restriction.
So the only difference between Signet and PAN would be basically the coverage.
And their business strategy.
And their business strategy. Right. So there are two, so that there's some competition.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of license? Let me look at it from another perspective. If, like you said, now they want to start a TV channel, what would we need? You said they need a license from the CA. What kind of license is that?
Content service provision license.
Okay.
But if you go to the CAK website, ca.go.ke, the process is there. Okay. The forms for application are there. You can call CA and they tell you what you need to do.
Okay. What if we need it? Yeah. No problem.
As we talk now, we have about 40 broadcasts in the space of 1 year. Okay, 49. See, yeah, what so these guys are did their records. Last year, when I was talking about 2013, we had basically the analog broadcast about, let's count them, KTN, BBC, Citizen, UTV, Family, GBS, and K24, which is 8. In 1 year that we've been, although we've been happening on this matter, 40 broadcasts are there, 42 new Kenyans who have started broadcasting in TV in the space of 1 year.
So the only thing you require to do that is to get content. You said it's a content service provider license of the Communication Authority. Then you either talk to Signet or you talk to PAN. Okay.
But remember that license, if you get the channel is 24 hours a day for life, you must have content field. So here will give you what they require. Okay. So yeah, so once you have that content, you're on air. If you agree the terms, today you put your content to Signet in Nairobi, you will receive about 70% of the analog countries. You will receive in almost 20 counties, instantaneously like this, without you having to build anything. In the old system, you had to go to every one of those towns. Nakuru, Meru, Kisumu, Kisii, Nyambiri, Mombasa, Lamu, Makueni, Mwezi. You have to build a town. Every of those people that have to.
Okay. Another thing that was in the media at the point in time was the whole issue around frequencies and the frequencies which are being allocated to PAM and Signet. So perhaps you could provide some clarity on that.
Yes, there was this sort of disparity. The CEO was being accused of disparity in terms of communication. What happened is this, as I mentioned, the Signet was the first Signet distributor. So they started rolling out. We have about, to cover the population parts of the country, we have to be 110 or 11 sites. I'm not sure that's that kind of language. So you have to build one after another, after another, after another. So Signet started earlier, but they didn't roll out first. PAM started later. So what happens when you build, say you build in a home, you want to go to Mombasa. You go, you look for a site. When you start building, you go to CA. So you're building in Mombasa, we need a frequency. You're given a frequency. When you're done with Mombasa, you go to Kisumu. You go to Nyeri, you go to Dar es Salaam. So as you build, you keep allocated frequencies. So what happened? PAM has managed to roll out their network faster than Signet. That's why they have this 150 something, 58 or 58% of 58 sites. Signet is doing about 28 something. If the third Signet distributor was to come, whether be it ADN or any other, they would have to start by building the first site, and as they build, they are given frequencies until they build the 111 sites. So it depends on the speed of rollout. If you look at the mobile industry, you find that there's some operators that are pervasive. So they use more frequencies than others. The reason why the others are not there is because they have not built their sites. And no frequencies are in the air. You cannot use it when you have it. So you only see the effect of the frequency when somebody has put it. So the network has not been put there, the frequency cannot be. I hope that is good. So eventually, if everybody was to build their network, somebody will get to around the 11 sites. Maybe PAM, maybe Signet, but assume it goes the way now. So PAM will finish the 111 sites. Signet will follow. And the third one would also have, if they get a license to cover the whole country, they will also have to bid. So that's the apparent disparity that is based on utilization. You use it. If you don't use it, it's not good because it's the
Also, one thing that we need to understand is when, as a broadcast signal distributor, when you're applying for that license, you also have to show that you have the capacity and to be able to roll out the infrastructure that is desired. And that is, I think, embedded in the business plan, which you must present at the time you're applying or tendering in the case of PAM. They did provide the business plan when they were tendering for the business broadcasting signal distribution license. And that is what actually also would enable the regulator to see the kind of horizon that you have to put out the infrastructure that is desired for the industry. For the 21 frequencies, just to mention that that have been given or that were given to the three media houses when they were given the self-provisioning authorization, that was mapped on the 21 locations where they have their analog infrastructure at the moment. And that is the far they could demonstrate to have, because they haven't given any business plan to the authority to say that we plan to roll out within this space of time to the rest of the country. So it's on that basis that they have the 21 frequencies in the 21 locations, the 21 transmitters that they have in the country.
So if I may just the condition, one of the conditions for the license was that you have to show that you will cover 50 to 70% of the country in 1 year. That was a very key point in deciding who was getting the license. Now that we're talking about frequency, I also need to clarify. There's been talk that they need a minimum of 8 frequencies in Nairobi to operate. In analog, for every channel you need only one frequency. In digital, for every frequency today that a station occupies, that can accommodate more than 20 broadcasters. So it's very efficient. So if you have a group of Kenyans that own 4 channels, and you give them one frequency, which can take, say, 20, they will not use that a 50. What will they do the other 16 channels? And we've been discussing this for 10 years. I want to set up for example, let me put it this. Give credit to KBC. And this KBC has KBC channel 1, they have Heritage, which is, you may have seen the whole program to Kenyans and all that. They have digital their own content and apply for a second channel. At least. So what the expectation was, I mean, for me and somebody who involved in broadcasting, by now we're expecting all the 8 analog broadcasters to have at least 5 digital channels. But this has not happened. So just go back to my point that you don't need 8 channels. You don't need 4 channels because of broadcasting. You only need 1, and you only use 1. You still have 16 spaces to fill. Because digital is very, very efficient.
The only way that fails is through the also the pay TVs, because those ones usually have content that they resell. So for instance, a bouquet of I don't know the different bouquets that Starlight or what TV has. You find one bouquet maybe has 20 channels. So that they take that more frequency and balance that there is also another frequency issue to be able to carry the free to air, and that goes by regions. And it's the reason why you also see that in some locations you don't have all the bouquets. It's only because they have not put up the infrastructure that can be able to utilize the frequencies that are there.
Okay. Also now, a lot of the time when we're talking about pay TV, we seem to be limiting ourselves to Go TV and StarTimes. But there's DSTV, there's Zuku. Are they similar? Are they on the same platform? Is there a reason that we are not mentioning them in the same light?
Okay, let me explain from a lay point of view, because there's a technicality behind that. Basically, 3 mediums of transmission. One would be satellite, the other one is cable, the other one is terrestrial. Just to make it clear that digital migration is specific to the terrestrial networks, not to the satellite. Zuku and DSTV actually are using satellite. And within the whole objective of the migration from analog to digital, it was not considering the satellite networks. But all the same, if you have a Zuku, a DSTV or a Zuku decoder today, you consider the already on the digital platform. But maybe from a more technical point of view, you can be able to shed more light on how this works. So from a lay point of view, which is what every Kenyan needs to understand, is that the migration is on the terrestrial. Next second.
We are only dealing with the previous analog, where you put a big tower somewhere in the moon, then you put a network on your roof, and you continue watching the same channels you were watching before, plus more. DSTV comes first. Zuku comes through. So that's the difference. So we're dealing here. This migration issue is it's a migration.
Okay. I think at this point we can begin to take questions from the floor. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. I'd urge you to keep it short because we may have quite a number of questions. So please, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Yes. Just introduce yourself. Please stand up.
Good evening. My name is Jackie. I'm a lecturer from Technical University of Kenya. My question is, to you, engineer, we did need to have the set-top boxes for the digital transition. We did need to have set-top boxes, but now they're here. And someone explained, because I was following it up, and yesterday I was at a class and we were discussing this. And someone explained that set-top boxes are good for regulation purposes. Yeah? And then to Madam Rachel, who makes sure that those boxes are transmitting quality broadcast? And if they default, who follows that up? What are the repercussions?
Okay. Yes, we're right. We didn't have to have set-top boxes. But then, does anyone know why it's called a set-top box? Engineers, for that is a better word, developed this thing because we had this plethora of analog TVs. So we developed this new technology, which is digital. The TV is still working. The technology is new. So we need an interface to help you continue using your TV, which you bought and is still working, and still enjoy the benefits of it. So they developed a box with some electronics inside. And if you remember, those old TVs used to have a flat top. So it was supposed to be on top of the TV set. That's why it's called a set. So we didn't need to have it. What we could have done is develop completely new TV sets that are purely digital. They would have had the same programs on digital. In fact, we do have those type of TV sets. The inbuilt, they are called integrated digital TVs. I just told you a set of boxes 3,200, 3,500. Do you agree? How much is an integrated digital TV? 70,000, 80,000. So although we did need a set of box, it was actually a solution to allow people to continue using the existing technology in their houses until such a time that, for government, they're going to get bonus, some of them get bonus. If they get a bonus, you can buy an integrated digital TV and you push the old one in the store and the other table. So this set of box is actually a solution to help people transition from the analog to the digital. And as a result of that, we've seen that we have managed to transition. One of the biggest benefits is that in the space of one broadcast channel, you can have two. Instead of having one channel that shows you news, telenovelas, Nigerian movies, comedy, you can now actually have each one because of each one on its own space. Which actually, what does it do? It enhances the creative industry in the country so that you have programs that we see in the school drama festival. We just get lost, isn't it? You see them on TV when they're covered 2 minutes, then you never see those programs. Can you imagine if you have a channel that shows these programs? This is what this does to us. So we needed to enjoy the benefits, maybe 70% of the benefits, without throwing away the TV set. Most of us bought our flats with TV sets 5 years ago. We still have another 20 years to use them. So if we go with what the professor is saying, we should have thrown away all that and bought brand new TVs for 100,000 instead of taking 3,500, connect the new flat screen TV we bought 2 years ago, and you continue. So it was actually a solution. Not an ideal one, but one that solved a human problem at that particular time. For quality, I think it was directed at Rachel, let her deal with that one. Quality of the setup.
And I think just to add to the issue of the set-top box, migration is actually a time-bound effect. There's a deadline to it. It's not something that is very mechanically and everybody can do it at their leisure. And I think the set-top box was a simpler and cheaper a model to use as opposed to waiting for people to buy integrated TVs. And I recall actually in 2007, I think, that's when the US migrated 2007. They also used set-top boxes. They bought, they're rich enough to have provided every household with a $40, 2 set-top box, $140 each, to be able to migrate. So it was based also on how now the country is and what model suits it. Now, let me address your question on set-top boxes. You're asking, how do we ensure that the set-top box transmits quality? Now, there's a process to licensing a set-top box or any telecommunication equipment in the country. And this is a model that is used in almost all jurisdictions around the world. It's called type approval. Before you import a set-top box, in fact, it's an open market, so anybody here can actually get into that business. When you get your vendor's license, we expect that you also bring the set-top box sample for type approval. And the reason for type approval is to ensure that the set-top box meets the standards that are adhered to locally. And we worked with Kenya Bureau of Standards to set the what we call the minimum specifications for set-top boxes that were to be used in the current dispensation of digital migration. So I hope that gives you the assurance that the set-top box quality, at least as a first step, type approval is a solution to it. But that doesn't mean that we have also eliminated the gray markets. We still find there's some counterfeits sneaking through. We work with the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Anti-Counterfeit Agency, who also have the responsibility to look at the products that are in the market, that those are according to the standards that have been type approved. But there's the other thing, which is the set-top box you have bought, it's a type approved. You see there the standard for compression is MPEG-4. It is fine. It is the translation standard is DVB-T2. I'm sorry, I'm using some technical terms, but those are the standards that have been approved for use in Kenya. You have bought that type of set-top box. You go home, it works for one day, and it stops. Now, there is a responsibility also to you as a consumer to ensure that when you're making the purchase, you ask for a warranty of that particular product. And we encourage this not only for set-top boxes, but also for phone equipment. For instance, if you buy a phone, we always encourage consumers to ask for a warranty for that phone, so that if there is any problem with it, you can go back to the person who sold it to you and ask for replacement, or at least have some provision for repair, or you can be handed back the money if that warrants. So from a consumer point of view, I think there's that responsibility which a buyer needs to know when they are making a purchase for a set-top box, and ensuring that the set-top box they buy actually serves them. Okay, I can see Alex here. He was in the consumer subcommittee of the digital television committee that was there. And those are some of the issues that really were put and emphasized on to ensure that the Kenyan consumer, even as we go through the digital migration, is satisfied that they are getting good service and not involving in the set-top box vendors.
From a technical point of view, what we did, we actually sat down and developed minimum specifications for the set-top box. For example, we require that the set-top box should have an RFA where you can take the aerial input and connect to the set-top box, and then from the set-top box you connect. So that was a requirement. Second requirement, that it should have this what we call the AV cables, so that the reason why we wanted the RF cable, that there's some TVs that people have that don't have the AV inputs. So if your TV doesn't have an AV input, you can use the aerial input to connect. If it has an AV input, then you can use the AV out from the set-top box, the AV input of the TV. It specifies the power consumption. It specifies the kind of plugs. So that spec, I believe, on the CA website, is what now people use to go and get samples which are approved. If you go to digitalkenya.go.ke, the list of all the type of approved vendors is there. If somebody is telling you, and the model, if somebody is telling you they're bringing you a set of boxes that cost you 2,000, it's okay. Please go on that website. If their name is not on that website, it means two things. One, they have not applied for a vendor's license. You cannot sell electronic goods in Kenya or any country without a vendor's license. Two, it means they have not applied for type approval for the set of box. If it comes and you buy it, it's okay. It will catch fire in your house, and you will not go anywhere if it catches fire. I think I'm talking too much into the microphone. So the remedy, digitalkenya.go.ke is the Digital Kenya Secretariat. You can call them up if you have a problem with their set of box, and they'll be able to follow up with the vendor and find out if the vendor really is licensed. Is that if anything at all from the last discussion, buy your set of box from somebody who is licensed as a vendor, and two, who has type approval for that model of set of box they're selling. You know, you can buy for 2,000 bob and then you buy every 3 months. But if you buy one that has been type approved, you are assured of at least 1 year warranty. So you would buy one at least 1 year. Until 1 year. Thank you.
Let me add something, to this question. It wasn't asked, but it's good to clarify. You have seen information in the media, in the adverts that media houses, the 3 media houses have run. When I say the 3, I'm sure you all understand that they're bringing in set of boxes and they're asking consumers wait for our set of boxes so that you can be able to view us. Now, I've explained the process of having to get a vendor's license and a type approval certificate from the authorities. The 3 media houses only launched the application for a vendor's license on 12th of February, to be precise. This time they have been talking about bringing set of boxes. They had not even applied for a vendor's license, which is a requirement. That is separate from having a secret distribution network. Secondly, much as they are given a vendor's license, which is still under consideration, they still have to import their sample and bring it to the authority for type approval. That has not come to the authority either. I don't know. For sure, I mean, we cannot import a set of box in the near future, but through the type of approval process that we go through. So I just thought I would make that clear so that we don't look like we are denying them to import set of boxes when they haven't actually even met the basic condition of applying for authorization to sell those equipment and even give us the equipment themselves and tell us this is the box that we want to use in the market.
We had a question in the back. You might have to raise your voice.
Some of what I want to check for. Growing up in the 90s, we had KBC. It was the major TV. Now you just will have PAM and then Signet as the main distributor. And then in the modern regime, it has inherent control over media. And then you have into that PAM is around the structure, around the ownership of PAM, where I know Signet is KBC, so that's the government. So the little thing that you still work with the government, it looks kind of nice to have to. The little thing is scary to allow two guys running the whole content, like TV content all over the country. Because I know today in the government, tomorrow is now.
This is the mic.
Okay.
It's working now. Yes.
Yes. I described the new broadcasting value chain. Okay. Let's talk about now the structure of ownership of PAM. the policy of the government is that anybody coming to invest in this country must have a minimum, within 1 year, must have a minimum of 30% local ownership. It's 3 years. 3 years. Within 3 years of establishing, you need to get a minimum of 30%. It has been discussed that instead of issuing a third single distribution license, if you have local investors, why don't you go and buy into this company that's a little bit different? I can also tell you for a fact that Signet, the government was ready to take Signet out of PBC and cede whatever percentage was agreeable to both parties to the broadcasters, so that you have only one infrastructure provider. That was not taken up. I don't think you need to be scared. We have a regulator today who is completely independent of government. The directors of the Communication Authority of Kenya applied for jobs. They went through those things that people don't do. They got a certificate of conduct, tax compliance, ethics and anti-corruption, clearance, help. Those of you who went to the university, they don't know if you ever got a loan. If you don't have that, you cannot get a job, even as a part-time. They did that. Which means those guys removed the days when the minister used to replace the director are gone. Any broadcaster is given a license with conditions. Article 34 and 35 of the Constitution guarantees access to information. You cannot operate in Kenya and switch off the only need for people to need to receive information. In any case, even say the dark days you talk about, if there are so dark, even in the areas where there is a strong opposition, if the government ever closed the roads and the gates to deny those people access to their homes, they did not. And these are companies that have invested here. It's an opportunity for Kenyans to invest there. In fact, the challenge for me would be, if we are fearing that this company is going to lose, they have at minimum 30% available today. Why don't you go and buy it and then change the direction that you will take decisions? Why don't you buy into Signet so that you can influence the decision that they make?
Yeah, actually, the fear is not like foreign investors, because they will have anything for it. The fear is because our media house where my editor gets a call to pull down a story from a newspaper. So I don't know how independent these foreign investors will be, not to get a call to pull down, maybe let's say KTN from Palm or from Signet or from whatever. That's the independence of the media aspect. With two distributors, with a call from State House or whichever house, what will happen next?
Yeah, I think if you permit me, now that Rachel mentioned that I was the vice chair of the Consumer Awareness and Publicity of the DTC, I think his question is political, and I think I'll give it a political answer, because I'm not in government and I'm not in the regulator. The reason why we are here is very sad that we are here in the first place. Is because of government being censored by private media. I say this without fear or contradiction or anything. The fear you're having is a long past fear of another era, of another constitution, of another legislation. That's what you are. We cannot say that because something wrong happened in the past to a media house X or Y, but in future and everything is now a safety media. The public was denied this knowledge we are here seeking. Advertisement we wanted to pay. Could I please answer? Then you can follow up with a question. I will answer. Give me an opportunity, then I'll give you the mic. Okay, please. Now, what you're looking at, advertisement you want to pay, they said they will pay. They said 4 things. 1, they will not support the government. 2, they will have their own. 3, they will not take advertisement from government. And 4, they will sue government. All that has happened at the Supreme Court. When they lost that case, they never even broadcast it. I've just come from class, and students are asking themselves, the copyright, all manner of things. So we are here because of government censorship, being censored by private media. This is the heart of the problem. If the information was flowing, you would have known about this set-top boxes 4 years ago. But because of the challenges we are hearing, and of course I'm not afraid to speak this, that's why we are here. So let's not use past years to justify future dominance. And the same article of the Constitution says that the regulation of the media shall be free of commercial interest. So even if you are the biggest broadcaster, just like the High Court has said, you don't have automatic rights anyway. Because about the small broadcasters, they are equal before the law. And again, political and government interference. So let's also see the clauses that are being used in their entirety, and let's not have fear mongering to try and pass on other things. So that's the way I can answer that. Thank you.
Actually, that fits into a question I'm seeing online from Mr. Bugwaji here. He's asking basically who will regulate the content on that's going through this channel. So, for instance, say if Gertrude Mungai wanted to have a channel, who will regulate now the content that goes into these channels?
There are two regulators for content. One is the Communication Authority of Kenya. Before you get a license, then you have to say what content you're going to shoot. The second regulator for content is called the Kenya Film Classification Board. You all remember last week the Banter Film Unit. Yes. So they actually do rate films. And one thing you may not know is that there's something called the TV broadcasting code, programming code. In most countries, you have what you call the watershed. There are programs that you cannot show before 9. None of the broadcasters have signed up to this. They rate their own programs. That's why you find a program being shown at 10 p.m. and is rated. Then on Sunday afternoon, when you least expect it, you are probably off watching Manu. Then repeat it in the afternoon, and guess who's watching? The kids. But if you had a program with code, then that code can be used to regulate the sector. So that programming code is a very useful tool for the Communication Authority to see how the content is related. The clean film, the law actually says that any film that is shown on a TV channel will comply with the provisions of the Kenya Film Classification Board. So in short, those are the two regulators for the content.
Please remember there is the hashtag CAEXP. You can use that hashtag so that we can have one story about this now tonight. So, yes. Who else would like to have questions? I can listen. Katie.
My name is John Katie. Going back a little further to the digital broadcasting value chain, and you just mentioned about the Arsenal and Manchester United. What does it take for us to have the English Premier League or the Champions League through our set-top boxes? And what does that mean in terms of the existing monopolies?
That was a joke. You see, the content that the broadcasters, if say you're a broadcaster in Kenya, and you think that you make money, they normally put these things out for sale. You go and you bid, you have your channel and vision. You see, even on the Analogue, there are some news stations like TPS, I think Keys, that show you the Champions League, they show the FA Cup, because they're trying to reach an audience. The more established broadcasters, with 100% of the viewership, have never thought of something back by exploring. So that's actually is an investment decision. And this football games and even sports, even athletics, rugby, cricket, you have to go and buy the rights to show them in the territory. And you have to invest money in it and then make sure that when you come back, you can be able to recoup that money through advertising or whatever. You are advertising or through subscription. So that is actually the decision of you as the investor in the channel that you have to do. That's why if you decide you have to take, say, the school drama festival, and it can run and you get viewers, you can go and sell that channel to advertisers. So that is not on this side of the value chain. It's actually on the broadcast, the content side of the value chain. I hope that is
Good evening. My name is Sidney Oche. Just wanted to know if the
if analog, the switch off is the entire country or not? Because from reports you get in the media, it seems it's the entire country, because you get reports like people in this area are demonstrating or so on and so forth. So I was just wondering, because it seems it's been unclear on how the switch off is rolling out. Because from what I know, it's supposed to roll out in phases, but it seems to have been countrywide. So I was just asking for some clarity on that.
Okay, it's okay.
Now, yeah, of course, one disadvantage we have is that we don't own a channel, so really it's challenging to put out information. One will always the newspaper about perpetuating wrong information. Now, there is a phased switch off plan for the country. That has to be clear that Nairobi was switched off from the analog platforms on 30th of December. The major towns, which were Nakuru, Mombasa, Kisumu, all those are switched off on is it second? The second of February. Although at that time the three media houses had sort of court order and they did not switch off. And of course we did not interfere with the court orders. But come February, and the third phase is going to happen on 30th of March. All those towns that are not major and not Nairobi will be switched off, and effectively that will be the whole country on 30th of March. But what happened is that on 13th of February, when the court ruled that the phase switch off timetable remains, we asked the broadcasters to all move from the analog platform as required in those regions that had been switched off by second. They defied, and it's the reason the regulator went and took the enforcement action by switching off their analog transmitters. And those analog transmitters within the regions that I have mentioned for the first and second phase. But what you also don't know is that they were available on the digital platform through PAN or Signet. But they went ahead to also withdraw their content from the digital platform, which was even giving them coverage beyond those areas. And that's why you're seeing, quote unquote, the whole country has the switch of, the switch of having been affected in the whole country. And now, of course, they're not transmitting, so you will not see them neither on analog and neither on the digital platform. So I hope that gives clarity as to why you see the situation the way it is today. But if they were transmitting, if they had complied to just get off the analog in the regions that had been designated for the first and second phase, they would still be on the digital platform in all parts of the country, and they would be seen by every Kenyan. So I would say this is like self-inflicted thing. They deliberately have refused to broadcast. It's not that there is no transmission on our platform.
Maybe a minor point that which I need to make. The regulator will not just go when they refuse to switch off. About 10 other broadcasters actually switched to the digital platform on that day. The 3 refused. The regulator went and got a court order based on the decision of the Supreme Court. Based on that court order, that's how they went and asked them to turn off their analog. So it was not something that it was done totally according to the law. I go a lot to Tanzania to Arusha, some of you travel. Citizen and KTN were quite popular in those, especially through DSTV. Some of us actually were watching these channels through DSTV, which was not analog. So even when we were taking off the analog, you were not affected. So what did they decide to do? They took off even from DSTV. So even for those who are not really affected by the analog, their action denied people an opportunity which they had before. They have been broadcasting on DSTV even before they talking about digital education. So really, maybe not, without preempting what people are going to ask, how do we solve this problem? I think the first one would be, let's go back to the digital platform Then let's look at how do we go from here to the next stage. Because right now, you can imagine if you are a farmer in Samburu and you had a dish, and the only way you are getting local news is through this TV. And you are not affected by the analog, because maybe the analog was not there. You actually being denied receiving that service. And this has nothing to do with digital migration. It was about here making a point. Demonstrations, I think it's only today I hear the demonstration outside the offices. Have there been demonstrations in other parts of the country that you're aware of? It's just been reported, I guess. Yeah, I would like to see the pictures of the guys demonstrating. Yeah,
But the
and going back,
lack of proper information.
Going back to the political question about access to information. Yesterday, we have seen an article saying that 30 African countries have applied to the ITU and have been granted sufficient to extend. It is not true.
My name is Jerry. I had a question that is a follow-up to what Katie was asking. And this is in reference to what you call premium content and what has been premium content and that has driven a lot of people to prefer having DSTV over the other pay TV channels that we had before this digital migration. And I'd just like to point a case of Nigeria, where multi-choice in Nigeria was declared as a monopoly and was forced by the regulator in Nigeria to share their content, their premium content, with other broadcasters. And so I feel that Communications Authority has a role to play, because not everyone can afford DSTV, it's very expensive, but the reason why most people feel that is the right thing to get is because they have better content, they have a monopoly over the content. So we need a balance where you don't have to pay an arm and a leg to watch. I'm not a fan of the English Premier League, but most people are, and that's the only reason why most people get DSTV. So we are seeing a lopsided effect where, yes, we want the digital migration to happen, but we will not get the same quality of content that we should be getting because of one company having a monopoly over premium content.
Okay, maybe I can address I'm familiar with the Nigerian case. What happens is Nigerians are taking rights for football for the whole of Africa, except South Africa. So the Nigerians, there are many Nigerians who play in these international leagues. So the Nigerian regulator said that no, when you buy rights, you exclude Nigeria. That's why sometimes you see when there's football, they say except in Nigeria. So what the Nigerians did is the Nigerian public broadcaster, NTA, that then was given the mandate and the wherewithal by the government to go and bid for that content at the international market. I don't know if any of you have ever gone to the international market and you go find booths, isn't it? You preview programs, you agree a deal with the supplier, the territory, how many times you're going to show it, and you sign a deal. You pay that for that content. You go home and you show it on your channel. So what matches will do is that we're buying content, blanket rights for all content. South Africa for some games, Nigeria for the English Premier League and some games, they say we don't buy for our territory. We will buy for our territory ourselves. On the local content in Nigeria, what happens? And Nigeria had a local content quota, which was in the law. You must have a certain percentage of your channels showing local content. That's how Africa Movie Magic channels were created having Nigerian content. That was for to fulfill the regulatory requirements for local content in Nigeria. So what happened? It was meant to fulfill the quota in Nigeria, but what it did, it exported Nigerian content to us. So 2 points. One, and I work for the government, we don't do content on this. If you went and negotiated a very good deal for exclusive content, you go into a country where somebody did not even go to negotiate, would you share your content with them? From a purely business perspective, I don't know about business out for government, we don't do business. Would you? Two, if your content is popular, there are 2 ways. One, you can put it on the free-to-air channel so that you can get advertisers. Papa Shirandula, Madaino, those something posts. So now I can't watch it, you are the one who did this. So even I'm having problems, but You see, so if the content is popular, you don't have to put it on page. You can put it on free to air and then make money from advertising. So you as a content developer, you need to know who your target market is. Is it a market that will afford paid TV? Or is it a market that will be a mass market and therefore you target the fast moving consumer product that will attract advertising? So that's my, I could be wrong, that's me, I know about that case, but that's how I was told this will come here. Just on that same point, at one time when a similar petition was filed with the ministry here, that we should compel pay TV to share their content. I actually talked to one of the broadcasters, one of the three, to protect the guilty and expose the innocent. Like Hollywood movies with pay TV. You know what we are going to do? We are going to develop local content. Makutano Junction came, Papashiranza came, Mr. Tamala came, and guess what? They became very popular. That was a very wise decision by that media house. So that wisdom needs to be exercised more so that we have that kind of diversity. So you don't have to go and pay
there is no way I'm going to watch. I mean, I'm there are like 100 channels right now, and I can't be watching 100 channels every day. So how do I know? That's something really for the content producer, because you spend a lot of money, you sell your one show to African market, then one day you're going to be on Jata TV, and you see your TV, and your show there with some Kikuyu subtitles. So what's your views on that?
Perhaps if there are content people here, they can answer it, because how do we, my views are those people are breaking the law, but how do we do this?
Yeah,
maybe we need to discuss this.
It's easy. What happens, and it's even easier now with digital platform. What you have in the technology called digital fingerprinting. It's been used by a couple of companies I already know in Nairobi for the last 5 years. But it's been used primarily for tracking advertisements. Before, there were people who were very analog. They were counting what is called proof of flight. 1 year is listening to one radio, the other one is listening to another one, and eyes watching, and they tick. And then they were saying, well, they can see the advertisement for company X has gone on there. But this company came in with the revolutionary technology where they took the advertisement itself, digitally fingerprinted it, and then they tracked all channels so that when that sound, when that ad came on air, it knew the channel, it knew the rate of the day, and it even total up how much it costs. So the same thing, your programs can actually be done that, and you can just sit at home on your computer just giving you. But that's a technological solution to that, so that you avoid the copyright infringement. Thank you. I don't know, they can answer on their side.
Oh, how we can do it from our side?
What is the recourse?
There's a Kenya Copyright Board, which is a special body that actually deals with the issues of copyright infringement. The music industry has done very well with the MCSA, Music Copyright Society of Kenya. So that if you play music in your matatu, in your park, in your restaurant, you have to pay for that. So really, I think infringement of copyright is a serious issue, and there are laws. The government has passed laws and institutions where you need to go and actually take up this matter. But again, maybe the best thing to try and apply technology as you were saying, to try and protect your content, because if you put on that effort, somebody will benefit.
My name is Wambui, and I am wondering, there's an argument that frequencies are like a public utility, it's like water or electricity. So the Chinese can build a road, but they have to hand it over to the regulatory authority to handle. So I was just wondering, is it industry standard globally to give frequency distribution to foreign investors or majority foreign investors? Because I think PAN, we get the sense that it is a foreign investor and they're being given a public utility in effect to handle.
Maybe I will ask you a question. How many broadcasters do you know who are on Analogue in Kenya?
The 8 you referred to earlier.
Okay. Do you know the ownership of those broadcast stations?
Largely, those some are a bit hazy, but largely, yes.
Well, the thing is, even those broadcasters, as they were, whether it is BBC Today and Zero Who Broadcasting, are using frequencies. There's no broadcaster who doesn't use frequencies. Frequencies are, I mean, it's like the DNA of broadcasting. And you cannot say that we have handed frequencies to foreigners, because if I could just put it right, for instance, the Nation Media Group. What is the shareholding of Nation Media Group? How long have they been broadcasting in this country? So would we say the frequencies were in the hands of Kenyans, or were in the hands of foreigners, or who would do that? Anyway, it's just food for thought, but maybe to just also add into it. Obama explained very well the use of frequencies by the signal distributors and how those frequencies are allocated, and the fact that they have the PAN or Pan-African Network Group have lit more frequencies than the Signet, and of course for the other 51 they haven't even reached them because of the challenges that we're seeing today. So I'm not very sure whether that is the discomfort you are expressing in your question.
Yeah, the frequencies actually, you just use them. They are public resources. If you look at the mobile phone industry, when the first license was issued, the foreign had 70%. 70%. And it was 60-40 in the favor. And they were given a period of using the frequencies, 15 minutes, which ended last year. They had to apply again to be given another 10 years. In 10 years' time, the Communication Authority of Kenya will issue a new license. Could you issue a new license? Or give them another extension? So every year, these people pay fees for using that resource. Now, going to the issue of foreigners, We are members of the World Trade Organization, WTO. There's an agreement called GATS, General Agreement on Tariffs, Trade Tariffs and Services. And the countries who sign up agree to allow certain sectors to competition. The areas that are not allowed for competition are closed. Those that are open. So if you have a 10 of this magnitude, just like mobile phone, you cannot go to Mr. Angus, who's the director general, and give you a license to roll out a mobile network. You will not do it. He's required by law to advertise, people to compete for it, and the winner who has fulfilled all the requirements gets the license. The reason why you make an international tender, you are telling people that come to our country and invest. It's not about foreign investors. Look at the investment around our country. Where do these investors come from? Or is one country a better foreigner than another? So it is really it's the nature of that license that had to be international. If it was a local license, like content, like you said about those people, a content license, that one is just between you and CK and the people. It is not subject to those GATT rules. That's how I will try and attempt to answer your concern.
Sorry, could I just follow up? That's all fine, what you have said, and I understand it. But I am interested in terms of how DSB licenses, for example, are issued. For the people who have already met these documents, with that issue of this is a public resource. So how are we going to handle it? I'm not going against your argument, I understand it perfectly. But just what is going on globally as a trend?
Okay. South Africa, the DSB is owned by a company called Celtic, which used to belong to the South African Broadcasting Corporation. In Tanzania, it's a partnership between the public broadcaster, TBC, and StarTimes. In Nigeria, is between the NTA I talked about earlier and StarTimes. In Ghana, they are grappling with how to do it. Either consortium of local broadcasters or look for, I say, 4.5 to 5 billion to build an infrastructure to cover the whole country. It is very difficult to get that kind of cash to inject into something that does not generate money. It's like you have a private company, shareholders, you have 5 billion shillings cash, and you put it in a road to extend a road which the government has built. It will produce value for those using the road, but for you as the investor in that road, it will not generate enough money. So the practice varies. In the US, actually, they allowed each broadcaster to roll out their own. But the US standard is different from ours. Then they just converted one for one. They do not have these many channels. In the UK, they used to have signal distribution associated with broadcasting. The BBC used to have their own signal distribution company, and there used to be a private sector called the IBA, the Independent Broadcasting Authority, that used to have their own broadcasting, only signal distribution. When they liberalized, BBC decided they don't need the own infrastructure. They sold the things the highest bidder. The IBA did the same. Today, one company actually owns both companies, and has changed hands about 5 times. The company that owns the signal distribution in the UK is actually a gas distribution company. So it depends on how you liberalize your market. If today we start like this, in 5 years' time, you may find that maybe all the signal distribution, so that you can optimize this. Remember I talked about just buying one piece of land and having one tower. So there are countries where it's completely private, and they don't care who owns it. In some countries, it's actually funded by the government.
Yeah, Sam again. I don't know if I'm misinformed or it's true that your office has raided the false thresholds, as the transmitters of the false thresholds, and then took away the broadcast equipment. I don't know if it's true or it's false or misinformation, because people don't have access to information now. And my question is, what will prevent, if it's true, what will prevent from happening in the future?
I think I'll answer that question. The Supreme Court ruled that migration goes on as per the dates set by the Constitution Authority. 31st of December for Nairobi, 2nd of February for the 12 main cities, and 30th of March for the rest of the country. Based on that decision, the Communication Authority of Kenya wrote all broadcasters, telling them, as per the decision of the Supreme Court, you are required to switch your transmitters to digital. Switch off your analog transmitters so that you comply with the decision. All the broadcasters complied except 3. When they not comply, the Communication Authority of Kenya went to court. Told the court, we have this decision of the Supreme Court, we have issued instructions as the regulator. Everybody else has complied except this thing. So we want you to give us a warrant to and enforce the court decision. They were given a warrant. It's like when the police have a warrant of arrest for you, if somebody wants you arrested, they can't just arrest you. They come and tell you, this is a warrant of arrest, please come with us. If you don't go with them, what do they do? They abandon you with the So what happened is that they got a court order and they went to the sites and told them, here is a court order requiring you to shut down analog transmitters. They went into those premises and they turned down, because these guys refused to turn down. So the Communication Authority switched off analog transmitters. Now, when you switch off an analog transmitter, you turn off a switch, and you go and leave them there, what will they do? They'll switch it back on. So what do? You take the switch, you call the station manager, he countersigns that you have taken away the switch, or 2 switches, or 3 switches. And they sign in the presence of the police that you've taken this away. This is kept. If at all, I doubt that will happen in my lifetime, we go back to analog. And I tend to be for very long. You can take back those switches and turn it back on. It's a legal process. So, your fear is what will prevent this from happening? If you go to court and you say you don't want to be switched off, and the court says that you should switch off, then the Communication Authority again will get a court order to switch off. If the court says you shouldn't be switched off, they will not touch you. Remember, this has gone on for almost 3 years. How come they've never been switched off? Because the court had never ruled that they should switch off. I hope I laid your fears. That this is being done within the law.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that the person handling the microphone to ask a follow-up question. So the 2 broadcast signals to bit of the span and signals. Assume me, as like you said, we have started a channel break, and we have an agreement with PAM or signals, and we have fulfilled everything according to our agreement with PAM or signals. If they shut us off, what recourse do we have?
First of all, you must have a service level agreement with them. Availability. Those of you are technical. If you are having a server with the transmitter in the satellite station, there's satellite business use of 99.99% availability. And this is in a year. The number of hours you are on air. But then for broadcasters, one of the conditions you are given by the Communication Authority is that you are not allowed to be off for more than 3 hours without informing the authority. And when you're informing them, you must tell them why. Maybe there's an earthquake in your station or a fire. Then they'll consider to give you some review. If you are doing it because your equipment is not working, then you are not ready to control the industry. They could actually withdraw your license. So if they switch you off or if they are not able to provide you services, you go to your service level agreement first. Secondly, you go to the regulator. They are going to be docked. Just because people have not been docked now, it doesn't mean they cannot be docked for being off air. It's very true. Those of you who are actually docked as a group, you are not supposed to be off air for more than 3 hours without authority from the regulator. That's a license condition, and you sign it when you're given a license. If you think you can switch on and off as you wish, then you don't sign that license. In which case, you will get it.
My name is Winnie. I have a question. I will go back to the extension query just read. Say the 30 African countries were not given an extension to have the analog signals beyond June. So I'm asking, why would the media house tell us that? I believe they know better to publish that and have that circulation in the whole country.
Let me give you a first a bit here, but it's 8 o'clock in the evening. I hope you can follow this. In 2005, when we were negotiating the treaty, those 30 countries, if you ever go to some of them, they have one TV channel or two TV channels. Some of them, like our neighbors that were mentioned, didn't even attend the conference. But what the conference did, like for us, our neighbors, we actually planned and gave them frequencies to make sure that they also participated. So what happened? First, for the first lot of countries, that they were not even broadcasting the UHF band. I hope you all take this because you understand. The UHF band is what we're using to broadcast the show. We are broadcasting what we call the VHF band. And because that band was not required, it was not going to fulfill the need, they asked for an extension that time on the 16th of June 2006. The treaty has what we call a footnote. The footnote says like this. It's Article 12.6 of the treaty. For the following countries in the VHF band, they will switch off their analog on the 17th of June 2020. And the countries were listed there, they made specific requests at the conference. So if your name was not entered in that footnote, you have to comply with the date. Then the treaty also says this, for those countries that did not attend the meeting, and then they list them, their switch off date will be 17th of June 2020. So, misunderstanding. Somebody reads that and interprets it to mean that they have applied to the ITU and they've been given an extension. Let me tell you about this treaty. The treaty says very clearly that nothing in that treaty can be changed unless a meeting of all the countries that signed, all the countries are invited for a meeting and they agree that you are going to change it. That's what it says. There are 120 countries that signed that treaty. So for us even to change the date, even to the next day, we have all to go there. You know how many countries these countries are? The whole of Western Europe, Eastern Europe, all the Arab countries, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and all the African countries. So you have to call all these countries into a meeting hall and convince them that actually you need 100 days there. Remember, Eastern Europe and Western Europe have actually migrated. They did this in 2012. So, now, the conference, I think, the total cost about 300 million Swiss francs. So to call 120 countries to go for 6-week negotiation, you have to go for 300 million Swiss francs to hold that conference. Are we as Kenya willing to do this? Maybe we can afford it. That's the tax money. I don't think you'll be able to have the tax money like that. When actually it's very simple. Let us move to digital, create the opportunity for local content, create opportunity for creativity, and move on to the next stage of television broadcasting. I hope I've explained the party. So I would say that is a misinterpretation of that provision which was put there. Just for the record, we do not broadcast on the VHF band. That's why our name is not on those party. We are in the VHF band. So it did not apply to us.
I understand it. Then 2 quick questions. You said the advertisement that we were seeing being against patents and TV was anti-competitive. What the media said was they tried talking to you guys, but then you didn't hear them. Is this an issue of you didn't hear them, then now you want to punish them? Then the next one will be, if you say you don't want to put up content, I'll have to agree with them or statements on some fees, yeah? But the media is saying that those guys aren't willing to pay them for their content, and so they cannot have it transmitted on their signals without being paid. What is the big deal? I don't really get what is going on there because, yeah.
I'll take the last one and let you take the first one. Plan and tickets are like transporting your things from Mombasa using the railway line, Kenya Railways are using the road. Now, when you use somebody's road, do they pay you for using their road, or do you pay them for using their road? I think you pay. If you don't pay, this, as I explained earlier, in the old environment, you had to build infrastructure. Every site, you put a 100-meter tower, which costs about 150 million. You put up a building, it's about 10 million. You take water, you take electricity, you put there a generator, you fence it, you put technicians, you put a road, you take the signal there. You do this 100 times. What somebody has done, they have done all that for you. All you have to do is take the content one point. It's like you're going to the, once you post something on YouTube or something, it's available to the whole world. Why would you want to build a parallel internet for your content to be seen? Just pay your monthly subscription for your broadband connection. Safaricom doesn't pay you for posting and things on YouTube. You buy bundles. So is this maybe not a good analogy, but this is what it is. So this actually lowers the barrier, entry barrier. It lowers the barrier for those who want to join the broadcasting. But when the barrier is very high, what does it mean? You are constricting the industry, so only those who can afford. You form a club of only those who can afford to continue operating that space. So to me, that's the big deal. The situation, somebody's cheese has been moved and they don't do it.
Yeah, actually the issue is the shares of they have in the market. The market share is going to decrease. And of course, any business person would do would want to defend the top. And that's the war that we are seeing today in the broadcasting sector. Now, you asked about these guys' competitive behavior, which they clearly displayed running the ads. The ads was saying that Star and GoTV were carrying the content legally, and they were telling consumers that we need to bring our set-top boxes, so just wait, don't, because I'm paraphrasing that law. It's like saying don't buy their set-top boxes for that reason. But there is this principle which is known as must-carry principle, which is applied in many jurisdictions, and that is what is applied here.
They said they're not in the must-carry places.
No.
According to our letter,
Okay, let me first explain what the must-carry principle is. In the interest of public and distributing information that is of public interest, it's necessary to use what is called a principal means of carriage. And in our case here, really, the principal means of carriage is the signal distribution that we have. And on that basis, actually, they are required to carry at least 5 free-to-air channels. Not restricted to NTV or to, but free-to-air channels, 5 of them plus the public broadcaster. And they have contended this, including even their pleas in the court. But the court said, you know, there is no infringement of copyright, because that is what they claimed. And it was actually silent on that issue. So that what does that tell you? That even the court did agree that the must-carry principle is a fair practice that can be made. Now, in the spirit of negotiation, because they were saying that they need these guys to ask for permission for them to carry their content. In the spirit of negotiation, we asked them to have dialogue with these guys to have their content carried. And if there is disagreement or refusal by the broadcaster, they should explain to the regulator why they're refusing. That did not happen. And so, I mean, really, it is like compelling the regulator to just succumb to their whims when we're even trying to bend backwards and say, okay, let's listen to what they have to say. If they have a reason for the refusal, then, you know, we can try and arbitrate and see how this can be applied. And since the court anyway had also given the go-ahead to apply the must-carry principle,
it's working. But of course, they are out there saying that it is copyright infringement. But let me ask also one question, global question too. How does the copyright infringement happen? It will be through probably distortion of the content, which is not happening. When somebody takes and aggregates content and carries it through their network to the next person who is the viewer, really, there is no infringement of copyright there. So really, there is no basis, as it is claimed. I don't know whether that satisfies you. Yeah.
Let me just expound the masquerade. The masquerade principle actually brought in the US. When cable came in, we had three main TV broadcasters. So the cable which was paid was compared by the regulator. You used to see that. Even as you carry your paid channel, you must carry the existing future channels on your cable system, so that people are not denied the chance to watch what they were watching before. So this is the same principle that we are learning here. That if you are a pay TV operator in Kenya, instead of just showing us your pay TV channel, we are requiring that you carry channels that people have been watching. In the digital environment, what this means is that instead of buying a set of box for MTV, set of box for QTV, set of box for Citizen, another one for KTN, one for DSTV. DSTV is compared to carry those channels so that if you have a DSTV decoder, the channels that you're watching before are included in that. If you have Zuku, the channels are included. And this was actually one of the things that was taken to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court saying, as a broadcaster, it's like you're going to get a license that is all Kenyans. So we're saying, okay, you have less all Kenyans, but we want the Kenyans to also get something from you. So that's why the masquerade has been defined, and other countries do the same. The free-to-air channels have at least a minimum of 5. It's happening in Tanzania. 5 have to be carried, so that you are not denied the chance to watch the program that you're watching in the analog environment when you go to the video. So, and for me, bottom line is this: it was contested, it was ruled upon, it was found not to be an infringement, and you know, it was a Supreme Court. Now you can go to the next level and challenge it there if it's an issue. Unfortunately, I mean, it's a bit about that. It has been determined like that. So that sets up the precedence for the regulator to compare pay TV providers that they must have at least 5 free-to-air channels on their platforms.
Okay, my name is Kenyans. If I to use your example of roads, railways, why is the signal distribution license treated differently from content provision license? And where I'm asking that, it seems we have like 49 licenses for content provision. But for the signal provision, and I understand that why is it treated differently? For example, if people competing to pay railways in Kenya, we leave them alone. We allow them to pay railway anywhere for roads. So if these people are fighting to do this, if we use that railway example, why can't we just allow them to do it? I mean, if they can pay, if it's payment for me, they expect them to do that. And then the next question is the 5 free-to-air payment. So if you give me the license, and because people are paying me the signal distribution fund, and nobody has paid, or only 2 has paid, and I'm only to what to do to give segment to shut down or clean. What I mean is, because it's being paid, it's free-to-air, but if I go there with my license, still have to pay, right?
You're saying people don't pay fund, no business. How is a private company to make a decision to this? They must have studied the environment to potentially profit. If you are a company and you're doing business, what do you do? You change maybe the way you're doing business strategy, and take more trust. But there are people queuing up and saying that the communication just we don't want to go in this platform. So yeah, so you have to take a business decision. For sickness, it's a public. We can't shut down sickness because people need information. That's why government is pumping money into sickness to make sure that even if they don't make money, Kenyans will turn to sickness. So there's never for people. Now, why are we treating the two licenses differently? It's like this. There are a fleet of trucks, and someone has been anywhere. You can't treat the price of the fuel. Some people have bought licenses in the CAA. A content license is 100,000 shillings. No. A signal distribution license is a tier 1 infrastructure license. It's 15 million shillings. You have to compete for it. You have to compete for it. It has to be advertised internationally. You have to be evaluated. You have to bring there. You have to give bank statements, bonds. For content, you don't need to. Importantly, frequencies are limited. Although we are saying you can build all these different signals, for every site, you can only have 6, maximum of 6. A maximum of 6. So you can do one of 3 things. Have 3 signals and give each one 2. So you have 3 towers, 3 half acres, 3 buildings, 3 generators, 3 sets of technicians, 3 roads, 3 fibers there. Or you can give 2. Or optimize, you can give 1. Because frequencies are limited, because the same frequencies are used. So there's a limit to how many signal distributors you can have. That's why it's treated differently. It's what is called in regulation, economic regulation, it's a bottleneck service. It's like building a fiber or building a road or a rail line. You don't build a rail line and then build another one. You optimize on the one that has been built and now try to make as many people use it as possible so that it gives the economic benefit. So the two are different. The other one is a more simple license. The other one is actually is a you pay a lot of money for it. So that's the difference. Yeah, because also as a when you license, when you do something like that, there must be viability. So you can't give 20 signal distribution license when there are 40 broadcasters. Then each one will carry 2. And each one will have invested 5 billion shillings. When will they get the money back? So you also have to have a viable business to overcome to invest in that way.
My name is John Ketik again. We need to keep back to the matter of monopolistic tendencies and cartel behavior. I was kind of not really satisfied with your answer around the Premier League situation and others, but I understand that you can't have a conclusive answer around this, because for instance, why would we be oppressed to the extent that we pay expensively for the premium content, like the BBC one, and we're still given ads that are for Nigeria or for South Africa? At the very least, when someone should regulate the fact that we're being bored with advertisements that are not relevant to us, but that may not be conclusive, and perhaps we should be telling us to refer this issue to the competition authority. So maybe a comment on that. But a more pertinent question is: we have a classical situation with the mobile phone statistics that you normally provide. We're very grateful that you provide very good statistics around that. But one big challenge that happens, and that's big transfer to the TV's side, is that we still up to now can't tell how many devices are in the market. And that's, we keep referring to business people making commercial decisions, writing business plans, and making investments. Could the CAK help us a little bit better, even in the situation of the TV set and all that? Is it possible to, using this new technology, be able to every quarterly report and statistics around how many TV sets are in the market, or how many sets of whatever that's involved? And of course, we're still looking for answers around that to the mobile devices.
Again, that I should not have brought up the issue of asking on the because I think that's a couple of one of them. I get the one of them. Content, content, the channel provider is the questions. I think this will include one, advertising, the other is subscription. Let me ask you, football was dead in Kenya. Completely. You didn't where is the stadium? You just go to the stadium faithfully. Wednesday, Saturday, go to the stadium, none of our broadcasters, none, even my favorite one, bought that event. What happened? Some company comes here, pumps in money. Kenya Premier League now is on pay TV, and apparently it's very popular even in other countries. They had to invest money. I'm sure you follow this time. They invested money in the fields, in the clubs. They invested money in the actually a lot of development in the stadium. Guess what? Our league is actually one of the best leagues in Africa. So for you to benefit from content, you must investigate. So that's how we do it. Now on the statistics. Okay, quickly. There are 3.7 TV households in Kenya. So 3.7 million households in Kenya. As of the 16th of February, 1.9 million set-top boxes had been sold. 1.2 million set-top boxes were installed. 500,000 set-top boxes were in the system. It is not 500,000. How do we know these figures are correct? One, the 65 vendors that are licensed by the Communication Authority of Kenya are required to make returns of all their sales to the city on a weekly basis. That's not notwithstanding. We are working with the Kenya Revenue Authority, and they actually give us returns every week of set-top boxes that have been brought into the country. There's a third method which I will to. So that 1.9 million, because all these issues are important about this issue. There are other methods that have been used to verify that actually what the CA and KIA are telling us is the truth. They are one of the means to verify this. So we also have our own methods of verifying this information. It's not 500,000. It's 1.9 million. There are 1.2 million available. 500,000 in the city. And as Rachel said, if you want to do this business, please go for a vendor's license tomorrow, bring a type of, bring a sample, type of tool. Now, if you add up those figures, and you're getting near the number of TV sets we have, it's a little maths. So, would you start thinking of importing set-top boxes today with those figures are given as a viable business? Where's the money? It's in the content. 200,000 set-top boxes, each at about $30, will cost you $6 million. $6 million. If you put $6 million in developing more content, you are potentially making money from that box. If you bring set-top boxes, you are competing with 65 other guys who already have a distribution network up to my village. So where would you put your money? If you had $6 million, would you develop content or will you bring set-top boxes? And as we say, set-top boxes are transitional technology. When we meet here in 2020, we may not be talking about set-top boxes, we may be talking about other devices. As you know, we are wearing mobile delivery. So you don't want to invest in, like saying you want to go and invest in telephones in the country. People don't have telephones. You'd rather do something else. So, sorry, let me explain a little bit, but I hope you get it.
Let me also just to that, one approach to that, is to indicate the information on set-top boxes. There was a study by Ipsos. Very recent, and I think to release the Monday Tuesday, which confirmed the numbers independently because they did the research amongst consumers who have decoders and confirmed that 35, again, I can't get exactly, but if you want the report, I can be able to share it with you for you to see how many decoders have actually been purchased in the country. And it's exactly the figures that we are giving you today, which is confirmed we get from the various sources available to us. And then on the time of in the matter of the people we can have food for fun, we had the families here too. Maybe they were given an initiator. There was this company, is it called QTV? It was a QTV, what was it called? GTV. Why did they fall up in the market? It was competition, but it was the issue of them having both the rights, but the business model was taken on. They did not, they were not able to actually pay that, and that's why they fall in the rental.
Because the companies were funding the operations. Fell down the collapse of 2008. Remember the collapse of 2008 when the world ended and all the companies failed and we were not able to send about. So they are getting, because the money that was being used to fund the operation, to set up the company, it was part of those funds. So the funds ended, so there was no more money to continue the operation. They are doing very well in Africa.
Okay, my angle is that company is called Gateway Communication. Gateway Communication used to have visas across the Africa. They thought they delved into pay TV. They went and overbid them for the English Premier League. So they were only showing football. They didn't show you movies. They didn't show you cartoons. So what happened? They thought that the MLM makes money from super sport. But actually they make money from other sports, cricket, rugby, tennis, horse racing. GTV did not have that. They only had it. When the owner of Gateway Communication realized that after 2 or 3 years, the money was not coming in, one afternoon, he just cut the funding because he had put all the money and savings in communication in PTV. So you have to diversify. It's not, you may see people cheering in clubs and houses watching football, but maybe that's not where the money is. The money might be in premium content. Put Churchill on pay TV and put other content there and see what will happen. So football is nice to watch. It supplements the article. But when we're not watching football, we're watching other content. So that's my take. I know about this. I know it. I used to work in the satellite industry. My friend used to work for them, so I knew how it is. But yeah, so that's and another point which I must discuss.
Okay, we have time for 1 or 2 last questions. I can see lady in red hair. Very interesting content. Yes, gentleman over here. Is there anybody else who would like to ask a question? We are about to close the session. Yes, we have. Okay. Start with the lady. We'll come to you then.
Hi, I'm Carol. I'm curious. You say that there are about 49 potential broadcasters knocking on the door. Is there any particular reason why they haven't got to there just yet? Is there?
There are 49 broadcasters on air.
No, the ones who are getting licenses from you guys.
They are already on air. If you take the set of box, you get 49. Because you do it,
Actually, there are about 30 that are already broadcasting. Not all of them have started broadcasting, but those who have been licensed, I don't mention that.
All right. So my question was going to be this: that I know you mentioned earlier, but what is it which takes resolve the standoff? And also, while you're answering that, what is it in your opinion, just in your opinion, that you think is making the media act the way it is?
As I said, no analog was switched off. In retaliation, they put the switch on the other. So very simple. Flip the switch is down. Are you getting me? They will do the content from DSTV, from Zoom, from GoTV. They can just take that. I think that will be
But they did mention that it was self-inflicted. Nobody forced them to move from the digital platform. Why did they do it? But you as consumers should be complaining to them for denying you the opportunity to see.
But actually, what's happening is that the discussion to try and get this information. That question is a very important question. This afternoon, the Senate has the same question. Another meeting that took place last week between various government and the secretary. I think that they actually really so we have discussions. Maybe for at the level where we are, we switch off and switch it back on. And then the discussion take place. To me, it's simple. Let's make a simplistic solution to the problem. And then develop content. How can somebody with a laptop in a southern quarter be doing a challenge that is beating in the ratings? And you're a conglomerate. Okay. Okay, thank you. My name is Peter. I'm a member of BEC. I'll just make one observation because my background is tech. I think the media houses are somehow not getting the point because I think the fight should be based on content. I'm just repeating what Obama is saying. You should not compete about platform because platform is really investing and you don't get money. But if you do a lot of content, this is a multi-billion kind of thing. So I think the fight should be about content. Whoever is carrying that content, because I think I have DSTV and I normally watch Citizen TV, DSTV platform. That was happening even before digital migration was happening. It was through DSTV, I could switch to Citizen. So my take is that let the fight, if people will tell the media house, let the fight be about content and not platform. The other thing is that maybe Rachel will go through it again. This issue that LT, the spirit media house, is saying that they don't want their content to pass through such times. From my technical background, I don't see any copyright infringement there. Maybe you can just talk about it, but I think I just walked in. Why is it really true that their content is going to be abused? Well, that's the issue, surely. Thank you. Okay. I remember what I've lost before. You guys are bloggers. I want to find 3 articles that come to me. Others can find what an article in the business page. Please go and look at the comments that are directly written by Kenyans. Joe Aguirre wrote an article yesterday. Please go and look at the comments online. Mutuma Madu wrote an article on the same subject. I don't want to tell you what they wrote, but just look at some of the comments. And I didn't want to say that. I want to talk about that. So, this is not good for the industry and for everybody. But if the audience has moved, you know, need to consider. And I think one of the things that perhaps we need is diversification of content. We need to have diversity. I'll tell you, Chicken Founder, there are options now. There are options. Actually, you can watch this with very many times. Somebody asked this question. Please bear with me. When you try lost his life, each one will tell you how you learned about it. Was it on the 9 o'clock news the next day, or how did you learn about this? So again, I ask you this: can you build the future of broadcasting on the news where people sit down and speak? Should tell you. So on the issue of the infringement, I think if people feel that they don't want to, I think that's why the Supreme Court say give them the same position. And I think maybe to solve the instead of one out of people so that they can carry the content. What it not mean that all you have to do is buy another set of box. I'm sure you have from the VCR, some of you have VCRs, the DVD, the PlayStation, set of box for StarTimes, for Zuku, DSTV. Go TV, we just add another one. That's it. That's another. So you need a rack. You don't already have one. So you just add another. So it's okay. I think the thing is big and I think but in the meantime, also something that we could get accommodated on the ones that exist now, and then we can move. I think this can also help you with this.
Good evening. My name is Rita. My first question is about the pay TV becoming a utility. In South Africa, DSTV
generally goes for around 2,000. The highest level, like the one that people pay 8,000 here, and it's the same in Nigeria. But here it's 8,000. And I'm wondering, and Nigeria negotiated and said that you are a monopoly, but you're coming here and you have to put it at a level that people will be able to afford. Because, for example, to be honest, GoTV is, to be honest, it's crap. There's nothing much there. But there are countries that are actually bargaining for what citizens should get. Why isn't Kenya bargaining for what we should get so that we were able to get good content at a lower price? And then my second question is about Signet. You said that PAM is rolling out their system, their infrastructure faster. Yet Signet got their license fast. What are you doing to make sure that Signet will put in the infrastructure? Because now they're delaying, and the one who actually had to build is putting in the infrastructure fast, and KBC should have, and KBC Signet, whatever, should have actually also been very far with that process.
Your first question is very difficult, but I'll try to answer it this way. How many people live in Nigeria and how many people live in Kenya? What is the capita income in South Africa and what is it in Kenya? That has a bearing on how international services are priced. No one, but they are thinking of it because I have got to be at home. I have got to watch and people like discover Farmer TV. There's a channel called Produce the I can watch the now. There's another one called the Victoria TV. I even watch a guy called Skuma for the first time on TV. So I have to tell you this, as a native bank manager for our organization, she's for me, we should use digital migration. What is that? So I went to the national thing. But I have a night class station. I hear there's a radio station. They were reading the news. It's the first time in her life. Just yesterday, she was watching. This is amazing. I'm going to buy a set of books, even if it's just to watch this. So, I would like to respectfully disagree that going to this crap. It's a crap I'm watching. I'm very Secondly, when God is playing games, do you know the only set of books that shows you that much is God TV? I can assure you that's not crap where I come from. So, on that, on more serious note, I think the pricing of these services is not something that government can negotiate. These are actually commercial entities. They go into a market, they structure their service, they are pricing in a certain way, and it's willing buyer, willing seller. That's the only thing I can say. But there are 170 million Nigerians. Nigeria has oil. Nigerians have a lot of money. There is no way you price the product in Nigeria, like in Kenya, with the 43 million people, of whom 60% are below the age of 25, or something like that. You see the dynamics. So I think that will play into the pricing. But again, I think if we have more numbers buying these services, you start seeing things. If you remember the way it was priced before, today you have things that students cost like 1,000 shillings. They are tiers of subscription. I think this comes about by having many subscribers. So that's why I was answering. I don't know if Rachel would want to tackle that issue of pricing creative businesses.
I wouldn't want to compare ourselves with Nigeria and South Africa because I think Kenya is a country on its own right, we have our own nationalistic values, and this is what we as a country want to promote. And I think that is the spirit of even local content. And for your information, we're talking about moving from a requirement of 40% local content to 60% by the year, I think by the end of 2016 or in 2017. And the reason behind it is so that people can be able to appreciate what they have here more, and even give the opportunity for the local creative industry to be able to earn from their own a market within the country. And so I think as a government, even though I work for a regulator, but I'm speaking as a Kenyan, we would want to see our own content actually promoted and popularized as opposed to trying to popularize what is from outside. What was the second question? I'm getting this crap, I think, that you told this. Maybe you need to buy one to be able to appreciate that. Or yeah, talk about
the budgets for next financial year. Signet is getting more money. They are in a particular meeting where they are going to get 1 billion shillings to build TV stations in the following places: Kabarnet, Jojo, Lodwan, Nasem, Etienne, Samburu, Marsabit, Reichstag, and Lamu. Oh, and here in and Kitui. 10 sites. The deal has been signed, let's wait for that. So that is going to add that number by 10. On top of that, they are also getting some additional funding to now go beyond where the Analog TV was to areas that does not have TV at all. There are towns in this country that do not have TV at all. People else here the same TV. So that's the next phase now. After finishing the Analog feature from the 30th of March, the next step is to try and extend the coverage of TV to those areas where people go to see television. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, we're going to have this gentleman.
Hello, thanks. My name is Eddie. My question is, with all you're doing in terms of building infrastructure, and I think the amazing steps you've taken to clarify issues that many of us have, is there any percentage of the budget that you're working with going directly towards local filmmakers especially? I know you guys had discussions a while back that we've not really gotten some information about with content producers who are trying to get their own channel, potentially where they can just have a platform to put out content we have made as Kenyans. Has this moved anywhere? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
What I know is that the issue of promoting local content production was being pursued vigorously by the Kenya Film Commission. At that time, the Kenya Film Commission used to be in the Ministry of ICT. But rightfully so, now it's in the Ministry of Culture, New Culture. So one of the posts then was in the film policy, and maybe these are discussions that you need to have, maybe with the Ministry of Culture or with the entities like Kenya Film Commission and others, even with ourselves. Maybe create a fund, finance local content. These are my thoughts. A fund to promote local content production. What I know happens in the jurisdiction is that you have a fund, then every year you have competition, script writing, then the best scripts win, and then people take those scripts and they are funded to produce series, movies, comedies, and then that way you have, every year you have certain content released into the market. Some of them may even end up becoming international. So that would be one way of looking at the big picture. But I think that even without that kind of environment, we have a lot of content which does not find a way of expressing itself. Some of you are content reviewers. Until these crop channels came to the TV and the Magic, you never saw those programs on our TV channel, on the TV channels. They actually were just kept, but the only way you've been able to see some of those programs have been through these Africa Magic channels. So I think that by having this abundance of channels, we are going to get an opportunity to have some of the content which we already have being seen, and that by having more and more being seen, I think that is going to demonstrate that the potential in investing in this sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Oba. Maybe I'll ask maybe for some parting shots from the two of you, Rachel and Engineer, as we close out tonight's session.
It's been a very interesting discussion, but just to the last point of that, I think you've heard of this analogy of somebody who is a marketer or retailer of shoes. You go to a place and you find these days a barefoot. Do you see that as a market? Or the fact that they don't put on shoes, you're like, oh, that probably won't make it sell here. I think that's the same way that content and creative industry needs to be at the broadcasting market as it is today, and the potential there is to actually put out the content and make money out of advertising. But that does not, of course, remove the fact that there probably is need for a civilized kind of funding to kickstart them or to boost them. I think those are ongoing discussions. We may see some results coming from dialogues happening. Coming back to the partnership, I think from a consumer point of view, I would say that there is a lot of benefits from digital migration. And we need to look at it from a beneficial point of view and how we can harness from a digital migration, whether as investors, as governments, as broadcasters, or as consumers of the content that is put through. And at the end of the day, everybody is looking to have a piece of the pie. And some of those who probably have enjoyed large streams of revenue in the past, if you don't want to share that cake. And well, let's see how the scenario will play itself. I think the winners will emerge very soon. And then lastly, also, let me put it that I'm hoping that this has been able to provide you with, maybe not full understanding, but a somewhat good understanding of the issues that we're dealt with today in this issue of digital migration. And we are banking on you to actually spread the information that is factual, it's true. I've seen already a tweet here that we are misinforming. I hope that is not the perception that is in here, because the reason we came to share this information is to give our opinion, which is true and factual from both the regulatory and policy point of view in the industry. So we hope to be seeing good conversation going out there. It's good to have critical thinking around it, and let Kenyans, stimulate Kenyans thinking around digital migration and bring out the good that we have.
Thank you. I'd like to express my sentiments. I hope the discussion has not convinced you 100%, but at least it has made you reflect next time you see an article or something. Two, if you have additional questions, now we have people who can ask. We did not come here to defend information. Everything I told you can actually verify it from YouTube to YouTube. To the next point. Do all of you know Marie Antoinette? Marie Antoinette. who are demonstrating. And they're saying they don't have bread. What did she say? Give them the cake. What happened to her? She went off her head. The French cut off her head. Now, we were used to cake. But now, this environment has given new. Not that they knew as they are in. But if you serve your guests, we are set to surprise the you still know what is happening. Exercise. Second point, please, when you're buying set of boxes, buy a set of boxes, form and license, then learn. Let them show you the type of windows and digital migration is on. The third and last phase is the data document. Please don't get caught without a set of boxes if you are going to get because this is not and I think instead of going to queue or looking for central boxes, fun, right? Start looking for the central boxes. Now you get the channels and you'll enjoy it. They do that guy a lot of time. It may not be the cake that you used to, but actually it will be started to feel yourself. So with that, thank you very much and I hope that we'll have another session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for the presentation of CA. Please remember that this discussion will continue online with the hashtag CAEXP and as well on the YouTube channel, the Big Kenya YouTube channel. Today's session has been recorded on YouTube and the video will be available. So please, if you want to share the facts about today's review today, there is a reference point. Don't necessarily have to just remember or go through the tweets. Please go through the video at your own time, and it should serve as a reference point for any content that you're putting out regarding this based on the facts that have been provided at the competition. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you for being in this meeting today. So round of applause to the Government Association of Kenya. And in addition to the the Communications Authority of Kenya for allowing us to share with us, allowing us this opportunity. So let's have a round of applause to the Communications Authority. And if you have any questions, maybe possibly forward them by email or Twitter. I think the Twitter accounts for Rachel.
I can give apart from my personal tweet, we have a digital Kenya Secretariat or digital migration portal for tweets. It's Digital DTV Kenya, and a Facebook page as well, which has been a very active, Digital TV Kenya. Of course, you're still welcome to also forward your questions or comments to CA_Kenya for Twitter and Communications Authority of Kenya for Facebook. And we will continue to have conversation. If you want to tweet me, it's at r_.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's have another round of applause for Communications Authority. Now, at this point, I'd like to close the session for tonight. So, again, thank you very much for coming. Thank you to the people who are watching on the live stream. Thank you to the people who are following the hashtag on Twitter, CAEXP. And good night, ladies and gentlemen. So, at this point in time, we as fantastic Africans have invited you for dinner. So please, if you can just form a order line by the food area over there, we have provided some items for your pleasure. Thank you very much and have a fantastic evening.